Hi,
Oh,
everyone. Uh, Hi,
namaste.
Rion.
Hey, what's up? What's going on?
Very excited to be together sharing this space. And
Yes.
yeah, for the people who doesn't know, Rion and I met in the Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida,
Hmm.
and we explored what we do,
Right.
and actually, which is very much in resonance. And what
Hmm.
brings us today is the topic on underground cities.
Yes.
So, hi, Rian, or
What's
shall I say,
up,
Leo?
Rion? Yeah. No. When he reached out to me about that, I was actually in the middle of the activation in Ireland, and this Marvel team up. It's important because the underground cities and a lot of our hidden history is what is relevant right now. A lot of people want to take, there's a lot of disclosure coming out about the different technologies and races and tech that is now, readily available with, different government agencies, secret space programs, Space Force, and all of that. But I think that something that's equally valuable is what's going on in the underground cities under our feet. And I'm not just, speaking about Agartha and Telos, but, what are some of the underground worlds? I did explore in Belize. There's a lot of really awesome underground cities out there as well. But I thought when you mentioned that to me, how an awesome it could be if we actually both kind of discuss our experiences with the underground and how it's relevant to today, pretty much. So,
Yeah, yeah,
y-
amazing. Okay, well, now you mentioned the underground cities in Peru.
mhm,
As you know, I was living in Egypt for about 2 years in a row.
mhm,
And throughout that time, I was living half of the time in front of the pyramids in Giza, and the other part in Luxor, just in front of the Red Mountain in the desert. And
mhm.
actually, there are a lot of underground cities going on. And
Yes.
even before that, I have always had this huge connection to the underground cities, because from my perception, it is like, if we take it into a very human level, when we get to our core, when we connect with our core, then we
Mhm.
are tuning into the gold that resides within us. And for a reason is that all these beings are not part of the simulation reality, because the simulation reality only goes from the surface. And
Right.
it's actually when we tune into and go, because as you know, some of them are easier to actually, like walk into the tunnel and then
Mhm.
find these beings and all these doors. Other
Right.
ones have such a high frequency that you not everyone is able to see them. Some of them will just see the rocks, and other will actually get to perceive them, because they are projecting themselves from um, five-dimensional form of perception,
Yes.
sixth, seventh, and so forth.
Mhm.
So
No, 100%. When I went to the Valley of Kings, gosh, back in 2012, when I did the activation there, we kind of juked some of the security guards. They take you over there in a golf cart. So, we kind of had some of the people in our group distract the guards. I ran. My guides are saying, I don't care where this guy's taking you. You got to go all the way into the back right hand corner. So, ditch this guy and get to the back right hand corner of the Valley of the Kings. And we did that, and I was gritting back there, and I did notice, like, they have all of the tombs with the bars in front. They got them all locked up, and they only open certain tombs during certain times a year, or however that works. But I just remember putting my face to the bars, and the space between the material world, or this density, and the spirit world in that place is like tissue paper. You could
yeah,
almost see into the spirit world when you're looking into those tombs. And what's very interesting is they don't let any flash photography in there, or no. And I said, of course, I'm like, well, what if my cameras don't have flash? They go, no GoPros. no video. So of course I'm a jackass. I just take the GoPros and I pull them back into my sleeves. I go, yeah, okay, sure, bro, you got it. And I'm filming. I got footage of shit, and I'm watching it in my house. You know, like again, this is like 2013. It's like a 2012 GoPro, mind you. But I'm seeing faces come out of the walls. So it's not just that they don't want you to obviously damage the, you know, obviously the petroglyphs and the arts in there. I totally get that. No flash. But what I'm trying to say is that cameras can pick up on things that the human eyeball can't see. There are things they don't want to catch on camera in those places. So that's one of the reasons why they say no filming, no video, no nothing. You know, they want to keep a lot of that information, you know, secret.
Yes, and all of these area, well, many areas in Egypt, as in many parts of the world, there are specific anomalies that relate to the electric current of the Earth in relation to the magnetic field. So it's
Mm-hmm.
weaker. So then, of course, all that form of correlation or interaction with these beings becomes easier because the level of because the magnetic field is weaker. That's why also they would
Right.
this is what I remember. That's why they would also choose these very specific spots to create all these all these structures. Even though, for
Mm.
instance, there are pyramids everywhere and temples
Yes.
everywhere, there were the most important ones due to that, due to the anomaly. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when there are these anomalies, it has a very interesting interaction and influence in the interferential wave
Mm-hmm.
field of the technology.
Yes.
So yeah, it's much easier to capture all these
Yes.
beings.
100%. I mean, I know that the fields that are directed from the moon, which is a very, even though it's an inoperable space station, there's still technology on that moon that was dragged here that is operational. And I don't know if you heard this, I forget who was saying it on Gaia, but basically out of the original, let's just call it 12 thrusters or 12 projection cannons they had in the core of that thing that were actually projecting the physical plane over Earth, right? Think they're down to like 3 or 4 left that are operational. So what happens is they can put a very dense space or projection, say 3D, over certain areas on Earth. But if you go outside the grid, you're in like a no man's land out there in, say, Africa somewhere or in Egypt somewhere where there's not a big population, where they don't need to project that field. It's, you're almost in another dimension just by being in that space. And I know many people have experienced that, especially people that are out to sea. I remember when I was on my way, I guess it was 6 months ago, when I gridded the Western Caribbean, and we were out there in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere, on our way to these islands, right, in the Western Caribbean. There was no grid out there. And here's the funny thing. I'm going to keep talking. There it is. Hey, we're back. The
Yes.
cruise ships have a very highly sophisticated Wi-Fi system and an AI thing going on in the hull of the ships. So it is a very interesting thing that when they still want to keep you within the matrix when you're on these cruise ships, even though you're driving through no man's land where there is no Wi-Fi or projection field around you, they make sure to swallow you in a net, right, per se, of the technology. So
Yes, and speaking of which, yeah, the Wi-Fi has been a little bit weak here. That no surprise. So anyway, it's a very important and interesting topic we are covering.
yes,
Um, you know, the some of the parts, for instance, in Egypt, like Sinai. You know,
yes,
um, I was there with a group, and we were about to climb Mount Saint Catherine, which is the highest mountain in whole Egypt.
mm-hmm,
And we were doing our thing, connecting, and all of a sudden, all these luminescent beings in blue came
mm-hmm,
and presented to us. And there are many beings underground, all over the desert. That's why, and also a very important place is Sinai. That's why in the upper part of Sinai, there is this ISIS radical movement because there are a lot of stargates there,
Yes.
and there is a lot of things going on there.
Mhm.
So um, I don't know how you feel about it, but always the connection that I have with all these beings is the importance to remember the strength of our heart,
Mm.
that it is through our heart, through our love, that we get to actually irradiate that light. And not only just once, yet making it sustainable. For instance, you know that I'm talking a lot about plasma, and now in relation to the underground cities. For instance,
Right.
there are a lot of places underground, not only in Egypt, all over the world, that you can see how the plasma field is being emitted from
Mhm.
underground,
Right.
and you can see all these pink plasma, green plasma, like all these shades, this rainbow shade. And it is because of the high level of coherence, like quantum physically wise,
Yes.
and also spiritually wise, that they hold, that they are capable. Because I'm just going to bring something up. I was the other day tuning into that, due to the black hole of the air within the earth in the core, is that the 12 main wormholes
Mm.
interconnect, and then to the earth, to other realms, in the to other places in the solar system, galaxies, and so forth. And what we know as the Hall of Amenti, Xibalba, and all these um, places underground that the ancient ones would define as not everyone can enter those halls, those
Those spaces.
those
Yep.
spaces, because you
Yep.
can be eaten by the consciousnesses there. It's because of
Right.
the level of coherence that we need to embody in order to be in resonance and beyond those guardian keepers that are
Right.
actually portraying a very important role as well.
For everyone out there, what does it look like? Oil and water. You have to be oil walking through water. The water gets out of your way. If you are water, you will be swallowed by the energy there. So it's just like it's being at a higher oscillation, a higher frequency, a higher vibration than the separating things, because usually higher vibratory beings are the ones that placed lower vibrational guards at the doors. So they go, hey, anyone who doesn't vibrate like us, kick them out of here. Same thing in Egypt. I mean, there's 3 layers to Egypt, and I can't wait to do another video with our brother Johnny Enoch, my brother. We love you, all of our homies out there. And I'll do a video with Mr. Bond, James Bond over there, Simon. Simon. So here's what I can say before the internet, we shut down the internet. Okay, so yeah, we're on top, we're over the target. So
Yes.
these underground cities work on vibration and consciousness, just like in the house. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about this. I'll share a brief amount of what I learned under Ireland and the consciousness. So how in different ET races on this planet have conscious ships. How basically there are no controls. You sit in the chair, or you step onto the deck of the ship. You are talking to the ship telepathically. The ship is alive. The ship is sentient. Okay. In the same way, in some of these ancient underground cities, I'm talking about the ones that, 17,000 plus years old, the ones that actually were allowed to use these higher levels of technology, not what came after, but the actual forebears of the technology. Almost like, I would say, when Atlantis and Lemurian were at its height and before. Okay, before that and when it's at its height. The issue is that there is a consciousness down there, especially in Ireland, that was trying to connect and talk to me, that is conscious. And back in the day, before all the wires and even before Wi-Fi, maybe an old school Wi-Fi, how this consciousness talks to you is actually, it runs the gambit of the walls. meaning the consciousness or whatever the technology was when they shaped these stones or shaped these cavities, either with, photonic lasers or actually a technology to actually create. It's basically a type of holographic technology that takes any of the surrounding area and it morphs it into whatever it wants, whatever shapes you want based upon the material you have available. Okay.
Exactly.
Real simple. Yeah. Upper dimensional beings would say, or another way to say that is they take a higher vibration or say a fourth density object and then they compress it down into the physical. Okay. Well, in the same way, some of these underground temples were created in that way. But what I can say is there was a very old technology that I was talking to, especially when I dropped grids in the ground. And my guide said, don't talk to it, not yet. And I was like, why can't I play with this thing? Why can't I talk to this level of consciousness? Okay, so what does it look like? Imagine a wave, like a wave pattern that's blue. Okay, let's make it real simple. Imagine it's the size of a merry-go-round in circumference. It's blue with a white core, and it moves through the walls like it's swimming like a manta ray. Okay, it swims through the city. So what they were showing me was back in the day when you would walk by an old temple and there'd be some strange moss growing on the side of the temple. We walk right by it. Back in the day, you would actually put your hands on the moss and you'd go, hey, almost like you're, at someone's house, Grubhub just showed up and they're dropping off a pizza. You would walk up and go, you'd put your energy through the living organism, the moss, you'd touch it and go, hey, over here. And you could call the consciousness of the structure to you to ask it a question or let everyone know that you're here. It was like a very old school iPad thing that they had back there. So without the use of wires, imagine trying to, okay, we're here. I'm in the show. Hopefully we're still going. So the issue is that imagine a technology that there's no wires. It's not powered by wires. Okay, we have wireless technology, but it's still powered by wires, right? So I'm getting to imagine a technology that's powered from 0 point, right? That's completely conscious. So I just wanted to share that because that's a brand new thing that I brought home. And I was like, oh, that's how they used intelligence. I don't want to say artificial now. This is a different type of sentient thing. This is not like our human version of what we think that is. This is rather, no, the guys who built these cities, they have a consciousness, a living consciousness that runs the entire city. The city is conscious. So that's something I wanted to share. I know you've bumped into that stuff too,
I'm very happy because I actually, when I was in Egypt, I knew that sometimes the pyramids would disappear. You wouldn't see them. It was a hologram, and then it would perfectly shine as this hologram. And then I started seeing how it was created through the holofractographic field, and then bringing it, just as you
dropping
said,
it down.
It
Boom.
all starts with the holofractographic field. That's why it's so precise, and that's why they would never understand if they are still focusing in a linear explanation for them, So, and about the sentient technology that you were saying, they have even found now very specific not elements, like materials that are capable to connect to the consciousness and generate like this sentient aspect of them. And now they are bringing them into the very same technology, at a nanotechnology level. So, for instance, the Mayans, they would place a jade, to say it somehow, a green or a green stone in very specific parts of the temples. And they would name them, and they would know that each temple was alive.
Right.
The whole city was alive and was a very specific consciousness inhabited through structures. So that's how they would tune into such a high resonance, because they would be addressing directly to every consciousness that was inhabiting that all those plateaus and everything. And
For
they
everyone kind of knew what she's saying is imagine you have a microphone and you're in a city that has 500,000 people in it underground, and telepathically you're going, hey everyone, we're eating at 2 o'clock, and everyone's going, if you're in that structure, okay, lunch is at 2 o'clock. It was a consciousness telepathic connection. Yes. She's frozen. It's my favorite movie. Hey, listen. Telepathic. Here she is.
I'm playing. I'm just playing.
No, listen, I love it. You're like floating in and out of ether. You know what I mean? Like, here we go. Okay, you're like, I'm here. It's my higher self, and now I'm back. And what's up? Okay, so yeah, but you guys, ladies and gents, that's what we're saying. And I know she has. If you spend enough time in Egypt, you really start to realize this is all holographic. This is all old school holograms. These guys, even the writing, you know what I mean, with the symbols, when they write in ancient Egypt, I think there's something that people have talked about. It's like, yeah, if you look at it on the surface level, but imagine actually having technology that's reading these symbols and giving you a lot more data than what's just carved in the stone. I think you have a lot of insights, obviously living there. I can only imagine the downloads you received in Egypt. She's going. Okay, I'm going to keep... Can you hear me? All right. So, back to that. So, that was...
I'm
Are you here? The internet loves you. Just chime in when you can hear me, okay?
I'm
Okay,
going
cool.
to move.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
look, I'm going to move. This works better.
Okay, you got it. So no, just the whole thing with the telepathic ways to do it. So everyone who's watched the exopolitics things with Michael Sala, let's talk about this for a second. And when JP's talking about these space arcs, I don't know if there's 12 space arcs, and the one that's out there they moved, that was at the Bermuda Triangle, and they drove it out deeper into the Atlantic. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are still with me here on the comments. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. That consciousness.
Hey, can can anyone see me? I don't know. I know it's still recording, but I don't see Rion. So yeah, I'm just going to.
All right.
Okay.
And we're back.
Yeah.
For all those, I'm just, listen, I had like music going. I was just like, listen, we can take a commercial break. Like, I'm like, hey, you know, are we here? Okay, we're dropping knowledge. Okay, yes. Okay, we're all back. All right, here we go. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay. Okay. What I was saying was, let them know about some of the holographic nature of Egypt, and then I'll talk it about some of the stuff I experienced in Ireland.
Sure. Well, thank you for your patience. It have never acted so weird things.
It's working much better now.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, about Egypt and the holofractographic reality, I call it not holographic, I call it holofractal because it comes as a fractal. It unfolds in fractals, uh, which is what makes the I don't know if you're listening, it froze again. um, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, I'll just go. And well, when it comes to the holofractographic field, yes.
People don't get it. I never shut off over here. I'm like, I'll just talk to my higher selves. I'm like, so are we doing good? I'm like, Yonderikia Toro Muske. I'm like, what's going on the ship? I'm down here in a popsicle suit. Let's do this. Okay. All right. We're back. Okay. Crush it before. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Crush it.
So the holofractographic field, it expands it from a bidimensional field, which would make us as a paper sheet, like just reading in a linear form, to expand into a multidimensional aspect of our own nature. So every time that I go to a temple, not only in Egypt, everywhere, every time I see ancient texts, in books and so forth, or tablets, for me, they are quantum machinery that actually pops out from its surface, and it's bringing in all this spectrum of light, and I'm just playing with it. And if you're capable to tune into the frequency that those walls, glyphs, hieroglyphs are emitting, then you can generate this huge field of resonance that generates a wholeness, and you get to imagine like a jellyfish.
Okay.
This jellyfish is full of plasma, and then this jellyfish comes into your brain in a good way. It's just being one, and instead of it does this transmission of information through consciousness to consciousness. Is, for instance, when you put your forehead third eye to third eye with someone else, and you are generating that emission and receptivity. Right. So that's the same, like all these walls are emitting these light codes, and you're just being a mirror because they are activating within you. And so if you start singing, because this was also something very important,
vibrational
you don't
tone.
need to be you don't need to be a soprano. It's the fact of finding, like in the African tribes, they say it's your soul song. So you need to find your tune, your very specific tune, and then it's like you're emanating your breath of life,
your key,
those walls. Yeah. Exactly. And then it starts to respond in your very unique language, and also from the universal language, which is geometries. And then you generate all these vortex that actually is activating the place. And there are actually many underground cities under the temples that are willing to transmit their wisdom, and those are huge outloads, outloads that lead you. For instance, for me, they have taken me from Dendera all the way to Rennes de Chateau, to Mary Magdalene and Yeshua, and then all the way to to United States, which was very interesting. So yeah.
America. Come on out here to America. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one more time. I mean, we're the real thing. We can drop downloads and still dance at the same time. These guys are barely reading teleprompters. Let me tell you what's going on today. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so that being said, everything in the universe, especially in our reality, we are all multidimensional in nature. So entering an ancient temple, realizing that, hey, you're seeing the first layer of a triptych or a structure 3 layers deep, and sometimes the magic is not on the first layer. It might be hidden in the middle or in the 3rd layer of the construction. Very important. What was it? Ireland. Let's talk about this real briefly. The main thing that we found out there was not only the underground citadel, not only walking around in my astral body for 5 nights in a row when we were in the north. It was every single night. Here we go again. Just the absolute immense size of the city that's underneath Northern Ireland. That's why when you're driving from Dublin, don't take the road that goes through. Goodness gracious, starts with a B. I don't know, the main town in Northern Ireland. You take the middle road, and you can actually feel the frequency jump 15 to 30% as soon as you cross into Northern Ireland. It's because there's a large underground city underneath Northern Ireland. Okay. That being said, as far as all of the magic out by Giant's Causeway. Okay, the reason why Giant's Causeway is so cool and why you're not really allowed to go off grid, even though I did, I hopped the fence and I was gone as soon as I got there, was because that there are dimensional doors that lead towards inner Earth and energetically, not only to the core of this planet, but there's many different doorways out there, similar to like when some places in the UK, they call it the Mists of Avalon. Well, out there around Giant's Causeway, away from all the people, you just keep walking north as you get away from the whole thing. There's a lot of really magical things out there, and there really are guardians, and there's dimensional doors all over the place. Just like the same thing with the national parks here in the United States. Same thing in the Grand Canyon. There are places they do not want you to visit. They don't want you to step foot on. It is not because they're trying to protect the land. No, they're trying to protect a narrative of bullshit that the Smithsonian set up a long time ago and invested millions of dollars, probably billions at this point, destroying the giants' bones, destroying the artifacts, taking the shit on or off world, hiding everything. It's all about controlling this narrative of this is who we are, this is how long we've been here, this is how old these structures are. It's not real. It's a complete lie. If you guys knew the truth, right, this whole narrative would fall apart. I mean, if we went downstairs, let's just say, someone somehow opened up a tunnel, you get in a dune buggy with 6 guys with about 8 cameras filming in 8K with floodlights on, and you start driving down there, you change the world in 30 seconds. Every single being on the planet would go, why have we never been told there's a city that can sleep 1 million people 150 feet down to 7 miles? Why is no one talking about this? What I'm getting to, there's secrets on this planet right underneath your feet. And their narrative, which they've been spending all this time and effort trying to control the population, they don't want you guys to know the truth. I'm saying we can have different renditions, right? Of, yeah, okay, the ET, our ET brothers and sisters, our galactic brothers and sisters, fantastic, right? What about the stuff under the ground?
Exactly.
What about the races under the ground? What about the beings that built these cities under your feet? There should be an equal amount of information coming out from what's under our feet as what they're sharing from space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And that's why for me, it's so important to tune into these beings, because they're holding the space. They're holding the space, and they're trying to actually do a lot of things underground to be reflected in the surface. And this only shows what we commonly do in our daily life. Just focus in the outside and not in the inside, not going in. And there are, like, if we take into consideration the importance of what is underground, like these wormholes that connect into the Earth's core,
Yes.
being this black hole, as the sun, as the fundamental constant of the proton, that each proton is a small black hole, has a small tiny black hole. The same happens with the Earth, and from that black hole interconnect from one side to many places beyond the dome, beyond the simulation. So that's how we actually go beyond this dome that was created. And that's why many people say that mostly all stars are fixed stars, they just place there, which is actually something very important, because then you get to understand and comprehend how this matrix functions through the stars. Their antennas, and how the blueprint of this reality was created.
Right.
So, for instance, how many spaceships come from inside the volcanoes, the inactive
Right.
volcanoes? You know,
Or from under the ocean, same thing too. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So, uh, I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, the messages and the depth of wisdom that these underground cities have through their records, and
Hmm.
how they interact with you, it's such a level of wholeness.
Hmm.
This
Well,
impeccability.
yeah. I mean, the same thing too. Like, okay, let's talk about when these Sakar showed up here, and some of these Draco jackasses. Let's talk about when they blew the gates on this planet and kind of took over the lower dimensions. The first thing they had to do was separate you not only from this planet but from the consciousness of the planet, which is basically how do you brainwash an entire population and run it through the garden for 1,000 years so no one remembers anything. You know what I mean? How do you literally whitewash everyone's memory in the physical? Well, they've done a pretty damn good job of it. The issue is with some of us indigos, starseeds, angelics who showed up here with a mission, who are now activating that DNA. Your bullshit's not going to work on us. Okay? Not to mention, we outrank many of the beings that were out here in this, no disrespect, but corner of the Milky Way galaxy planet. Okay? Some of us come and herald from our galactic center. Some of us herald from Andromeda, real old, a much older galaxy than the Milky Way. So what I'm trying to get to, there is a level of ordinance and order, and what the entire universe wants this planet to have is not only their memories back, but they want the truth. They want disclosure, and it comes to each and every individual in waking up within themselves to ask these questions. If you wanted to be completely honest right now, you don't think there's a billionaire on the planet that could buy 3,000 acres in the middle of Colorado, ask Musk to dig 6 tunnels down 5 miles and access the entire inner workings of this planet and find the species there? You know what? They already have. The U.S. military already knows where these doors are, to downstairs. Same thing that they do with the ley lines and putting a church on top of a ley line. Well, now they're military bases. And why does every single door on this planet have a military base over the damn door? What I'm trying to say is that people on this planet think that they have free will to go search and go and do things. Hey, it's not per se that it needs to be a very, hostile takeover. Okay, even though the presidents in the United States have said, well, I forget which president said, if you don't tell us what you guys are making out there in Area 51, I'm going to show up with 20,000 troops and we're going to see for ourselves. That has gone on. I don't know if you know that in the United States. They're like, you're going to show us what's going on out here. So I just think for us in the civilian world to really pay attention to our minds and our thoughts. And when we have our own resources, we have our own MO on what we want to do. And we really, the thing about us is, us starseeds and indigos, is like, why am I forced to talk to these jackasses that have been lying to us for 5,000, 10,000 years? Can I talk to a race or a species of beings that isn't a part of this weird ass carnival ride? Can I actually talk to some beings who actually have some age and wisdom, who actually want to do positive things for humanity? And why does everyone have a strange motivation on this planet to share or not share things? Me just knowing where the doors are in Northern Ireland, I guarantee you there's a handful of people that know. I went there and had to walk on top of the ridge and just stare with my natural abilities and go, yeah, the door's right there, 160 feet down. You'd have to get a scuba tank on. The door's right there. I'm sitting there in this place. Like I said, when I got home, I'm still processing and breaking the stuff down. I'm just trying to say nothing has changed other than the belief system of the people that have been kind of brainwashed on the surface. My thing is, being born on a library planet, our birthright is to be able to accelerate our own DNA and remembrance being born on a library planet. Why wouldn't we get to take advantage of a planet we were born on? You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to say these sacred sites exist for all of us to expand our own experience and our own DNA, and not to let some of these beings control your entire incarnation of 80, 100 years. This is the only wall you can stare at as you walk in a little box. What I'm getting to, ladies and gentlemen, this entire planetary control system needs to come down. It's not just one country. The whole thing needs to come down, and the lights need to turn on. I just wanted to share that. Maybe a little off topic. I mean,
yes, I love it, and I love the passion, because that's what it requires.
mm-hmm.
The passion to actually do. And now that you were talking about the main thing, which is the amnesia, it all comes, like, if we tune into how the memory works, it works
Mm-hmm.
through emotions.
Right.
The deepest the emotion, the deepest the memory is anchored.
Mm-hmm.
So the first moment in which our memory actually could possibly have been wiped out is when we were being given birth through the birth channel of our mother,
Mm-hmm.
because then we are going in through this survival mode, so it's a trauma. And then also the fact that the brain was designed, that the right brain hemisphere and the left hemisphere were designed to read reality in different frequencies. Like, literally, they would be speaking a different language, and
Mm-hmm.
that translates in science versus spirituality, whereas they're one, just different words, and separation being enhanced, and because the brain hemispheres are not fully synced.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, one of the biggest tasks that we have, if we are committed to our own evolution and to the earth, to the planet, and
Right.
to the cosmos, then we have to even and really our brain hemispheres, this hemisync.
Right.
And there are many ways to do that, through frequencies, which actually is a sort of plasma being emitted, and then you actually being able to harmonize and align how you perceive reality. Otherwise, it's you having an altar, a very subtle altar, uh,
Mm-hmm.
speaking to you all the
Right.
time, which is what most people is experiencing now. And now at this moment, we are at very interesting stages, that it's decisive,
Mm-hmm.
the the implicance and the effect of our choices. It has always been. The thing is that now there is, like, no time. Before, we would have time to fool around and saying, okay, yes, perhaps, yeah, I can leave it for later. Yeah, I don't feel like doing it right now. And now it's like, no, you
It's
need
go
to take
time.
a look at it. Yeah.
It's go
Like,
time right
use
now. If you are an aware being right now, it is go time right now. So if you incarnated like, I'm going to do this, I'm definitely going to experience this, and I'm definitely going to activate my DNA, and I'm definitely going to work on, what I need to work on in this incarnation. If you're not working on that right now, you're doing yourself a disservice, because everyone is here watching the game and everyone is getting leveled up. I also want to share in a very beneficial, positive way how many people are getting activated right now, how many people are waking up, how each of these sacred sites are all connected to ley lines in the plasma field, which is assisting everyone to wake up. And I also wanted to reference, when you say plasma field, I forget what it was, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, an Australian female college student, astronomer, videotaped through her telescope the plasma, like it looks like tunnels or wormholes that go around the planet. I don't know if you guys can look that up on YouTube. She was videotaping it. There's actual plasma that goes in and out of this planet. So when people talk about riding wormholes, when people talk about, the North and South Pole, where ships come down because it's very easy, it's less dense there to go right into the core of the planet. There are things that we want to share, and there are things that the civilian population would like to know about. And I think the civilizations from inner Earth should make themselves more known.
They will.
And they will. And here's the thing too. It's like, this is what I like. Let me just lean in here. Like, let me say like how I really feel about this. The beings from the inner Earth, and us living on the surface, and how basically every being down here is a hybrid one way or the other. You're either aware of it or not. Okay. But that your suit is made of multiple functions of DNA from different ET species. Okay. What I'm getting to, there needs to be a critical mass of us who start asking different questions. It's not supposedly the answer you guys think you want to hear. It's not that. It's asking the specific, very direct questions on why certain things are, the way they are, and who makes that decision. Where are they right now? Are they on this planet? Are they hiding in a spacecraft? Are they on the backside of Ceres? What is it? What I'm getting to, some of us need to start getting very, very specific, because what I'm here to say is that we all showed up here for a certain level of experience that our souls were going to gain through this incarnation. And when you let other beings dictate what you're allowed to see, what you're allowed to listen to, who you're allowed to hear, you are allowing someone to limit your experience. That is not tolerated in the universe. But that is something a certain level of awareness being needs to know. Does a tiger know what the jungle feels like when it was born in a cage?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to wake you guys up. You guys need to start asking some very different. If you're a tiger born in a cage, have you ever really had the mud of the jungle go through your toes? Have you ever ran full speed before? Do you know what it feels like to have rain on you? Or are you just a tiger born in a cage? So what I'm getting to, a lot of us tigers out there need to start walking around. And a lot of us lions out there need to start knocking on doors and asking different questions. That's all I'm trying to say. Because if you don't even have the spirit to ask, exactly. Okay, that vessel's unaware. They're happy with their little 401k sitting in a box for 60 years, and they can take, they can put gas in their car and they're happy. I'm just trying to tell you, some of us need to become lions once again, and enough with this bullshit. Because I'm trying to tell you, these beings are going to say, we chose to not ask the right questions. We chose to be controlled. We chose to these certain realities. When the truth is, our soul never chose to be controlled. That's all I wanted to say with that,
Yes.
So.
Yes. And thank you for saying that. That was amazing. Awesome. It really touched the core. So, one of the things that also, besides the lack of alignment in between the brain hemispheres, one huge control system is time. Time, the linear time, because every second, every minute that someone is nourishing, believing in that egregor, it is keeping it alive. And the thing is that we are not capable to fully think and speak in the same language with ourselves if we are not honoring actually what will make us connect with our true nature through the original cycles. How can something like time be so fundamental or anchoring into this density? Because if you see, time is what rules all humanity, the time system. So they designed it in such an amazing way, to say it somehow, that they made it really difficult for humanity to change it. As the very same person that one day said, okay, let's shift the calendar. Let's call it calendar to raise.
Oh yeah, let's just delete a month let's just delete a month off the calendar. Delete a fiacus instead of every month being 28 days. Now we've got all this shit in leap year. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, that's literally factual. It's the old Bibles from the 1700s. It has 13 months. 28
Yes.
days. Yeah.
Yes, and people that is living off the grid to say somehow that they now are following their own cycles, creating their own communities and so
Hmm.
forth. For me, that's very wise, very intelligent,
Yeah.
actually, because then imagine that we are antennas, that
Hmm.
now we are embracing it all and using this on our behalf and on behalf of humanity. For instance, we're using the technology for that. The thing is that when people is not aware of that, there are, on the other aspect, these jellyfish just sucking from their energy and directing it to all these egregores of time that keep enhancing the pattern of the cube, the simulation matrix. You know, we are incubated, we are hibernating in base reality, and we are actually being incubated in this one until we reach the nine, which is the 9 months. And actually, now the Mayans, according to the long count, they talk about the ninth wave, which is this tidal motion, which is enabling the fact for us to rise through all these transcendental shifts that we are going through. And I don't want to be like very repetitive, but
Right.
yet one of the things that I have over and over and over and over and over again seen the deep how it connects the whole reality is what we know as ether, which is
Yes.
the 0 point energy, which is the Planck plasma.
Yes.
Like, if we really want to activate all the functions, all the skills that this magnificent body is capable to do, we need to know how to direct it. We need how to use it. And instead of just focusing, ooh, something is going to happen in 2030 or even before, let's create a bunker, because then you're not in the eye of the then you're in the eye of the hurricane, and not, that's also the
Right.
safety of those underground cities. Here
Right.
can happen whatever, and then the closest to the core, nothing happens. But if we are capable to rise our frequency through our plasma, then we can reach those levels of ourselves coming from another timeline that show to ourselves in full luminescent body and sharing. Because for me, every time that we see, for instance, the plasma beings, which are these luminescent uh, beings that live underground and that live project themselves holofractographically from another space, and they can acquire any form in their bodies. They're not like humanoids.
No, funny as you're saying this, I literally have inner Earth beings because I'm about to like light some shit on fire over here with what I'm really about to say, and they're like, "Don't say it." I'm like, "No, we're gonna talk about it because." And no, finish what you're saying because I have something I'd like to share too with some of the beings that watch us from inner Earth. I have some comments for you.
Oh, great, thank you. Yes. Well, these beings are ourselves from another timeline that are generating that reencounter to ignite what they have already ignited within this physical body right here, right now. So the moment that we remember that we are generating that feedback from the universe, the more that we occupy our place and take our mission seriously.
Right.
Not just like, yeah, when the moment comes. The moment is now.
Yes.
So
100%. I couldn't agree more. The thing that we need to do for one another is kind of, I guess, like when you first wake up, it's almost like you have blinders on, almost like when your third eye just comes on. I mean, at least in my case, I could just see into, say, the fourth dimension, or then eventually more advanced, I could see into the fifth dimension. Ascension happens in stages. But this is something I wanted to share with all the beings in inner Earth that basically want to leave us on the surface and wait to a great cataclysm to take place before you show up. Let's be completely clear with the beings staring at you as well. Right now, there is the technology, even within human hands, with even was it Star? I call it Starfleet, but with Space Force, secret space program in Solar Warden where they can take a human being off a planet, run it through a frequency fence or a door. Let's just say basically it's almost looks like a metal detector, and you can walk through it to make sure you have no nanotech in your body. That's how they usually, when they pick people up, they scan them to make sure, because nanotech isn't allowed, especially on an organic ship. Okay. Now, with the interaction from inner Earth, their main cause and effect reason why they don't interact with us, because some of the bacteria that we carry on the surface is dangerous to them. It's dangerous. They could get sick. They could die. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to kind of remove some of this stuff, why there isn't more interactions with the civilian population, hence why you have all kinds of interaction with everyone in the military, then have so for almost 100 plus years, if not in the secret societies for eons of time. My thing is that with the technology that exists right now to remove nanotech, why can't you take small groups of people down into the inner cities, run them through different frequency baths to make sure the bacteria we carry doesn't infect you, one, in your population, but two, obviously, have us wear a suit, you wear a suit, whatever this may be. What I'm getting to is that I'm starting to see a little bit too much of some of these fanciful stories of beings talking about things in the fourth dimension, and they call it reality in the physical. I don't do that. What I'm trying to say is that there are very highly sophisticated species on this planet right now. There's a huge underground city. As I look due north from my house in Sedona, there's a huge gate 7 clicks north of my house right now. And I'm just saying, like, at some point, whoever hears this in the future, or for all of us right now as this resonates through your eardrums, I'm asking for support for a more graceful ascension. And I'm asking for support for all of us that need help. And I'm asking for support because I am here right now. And whatever this shock and awe campaign that you guys have planned, that you're going to wait till after, I don't need to be rescued in a lifeboat 3.5 years from now. I would like support from my friends and family now, so we can have a more graceful timeline and maybe not have to get into a timeline that does not serve the all but the few. I'm just trying to say, like, aren't we the ones who came down here from the upper dimensions to help out? Aren't we the ones who inserted ourselves into this game to have a more graceful timeline for all participants? I think some of us need to start acting our age, and I think some of us need to start calling down and having our voices heard in these council meetings instead of being told what's going to happen or told what the game plan is. I think a lot of us need to start voicing our opinions in different territories. In my comments right now, I have New Zealand represented, UK, Australia, Canada, United States. We're all here in the comments. Go ahead in my comments right now. Put what country you guys are watching from right now. I think it's time for us who have been granted these powers and to use our free will and speech to request things from the collective of this planet that sits behind the scenes so that we can have a more graceful transition. I didn't show up here for some shock and awe shit, especially by a bunch of jackasses. It's one of the shittiest scripts I've ever seen written in any incarnation I've ever been a part of on this planet. No disrespect. I just want to be real. Whoever is writing this shit script is fired. You're out of here. We shouldn't even have to be participating in your shit show. It shows your lack of imagination. It shows the fact that you're not truly creator beings. And you guys know this. The stuff they're rolling out in the mainstream, the stuff they're making us do. They're trying to do another rollout with some monkey shocks. I don't know. You know what I mean? We need to get off this carnival ride. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're not going to give the civilian population the technology we have created ourselves, which is then stolen and used for military purposes, those who have stolen those patents and technologies need to get involved and free the civilian population. You guys have been riding our coattails, using our taxpayer money, using the things we create with our bare hands to do all these things in our space, but we're not getting any of the benefits. Okay, I was just in Ireland. Half the population doesn't even have dryers in their house because they can't afford the power bill. Okay, you guys are flying around on spacecraft. I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. From my heart, I'm expressing like there's something that we need to do together and request together from the beings that get to hide because we're not asking the right questions. We're not asking, hey, the Royal Council of Telos, maybe it's time you get involved. Hey, the Royal Council of Agartha, our voice isn't being heard on the civilian population in the world. It's time we get a microphone and have these conversations, not jackasses that have to get sworn into government. You know what I mean? Like, who are the real leaders? It's you guys out there across the planet. I'm just trying to say it's time for everyone to start acting their true soul age. That's all I'm trying to say. You know?
Exactly. It's as simple as that and as complex as we choose it to be, because that's about occupying our place, the space that truly corresponds to us. Like, if we really think and ask ourselves how this reality is functioning, we have the power. We
Yes.
have it, you know? But how we got to forget it and enhance and perpetuate a reality that would separate ourselves so much from our divine nature, that now we are just choosing to not act and to look at other way, but right now there is no way back, actually. And what you said about the script, the so lousy script,
Yep.
I agree. Like, things are becoming more and more evident and ironic, and you wonder, like, how this is a joke.
Yes.
Like, this is a joke. And I rather laugh, because I believe that humanity has had enough.
Yes.
I believe that we have a much better timeline to shape.
Yeah. And I'm
And
just here sitting here with you, sister, and I'm like, yo, let's get it. I'm tired of waiting. It's like there's some sort of clock I have to stare at and wait till this thing counts down. I'm just trying to say, whoever put that clock up there, you're fired. Whoever wrote this script, you're fired. Like, I don't know who or what, but some of us need to start activating that real divine frequency that you carry, the thing that you don't talk about, the real dreams you have at 3 a.m. When you go out and you're sun charging and you start absorbing energy like a small sun, and you don't say anything, you keep it to yourself. These beings out there are the ones I speak to. It's time for you guys to start asking different questions, not just about me, myself, and Irene in my own development, but rather, Mother, Father, God, Great Spirit, original creator of my soul, please allow us to work together to awaken and free this entire planet from enslavement. I don't care who or what they put in front of us. We're going through you like a hot knife through butter. We're going through you like a bullet train. My thing is that we're supposed to do it in a graceful way. So help me, help us, help your other brothers and sisters. How can we get to that end result without all this collateral damage? How do we stop these wars, right? How do we do these things to actually go, hey guys, the more we do this, the farther away from, right, love, compassion, and balance we get. So I'm just trying to say, for all of us out there, this is a group mind meld for everyone in this conversation. Ask your heart, ask your guides. How do we get to the goal of balance and harmony faster? We came here to help this planet. Snap out of it. That's what this team really is, right? Team Light across the planet. You know what I mean? My sister here, hey, you're a member of Team Light and your boy. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say, I talked to Brooks for 2 hours last night. He's like a super brain, right? And we're knocking stuff out on his radio show. And I'm just trying to say, it's time. So whatever those inner dialogues are, stop being scared of how powerful you really are.
yes,
Trust in yourself. Trust in your inner child. That's how I do it, you guys. You can have the divine feminine and masculine. Fantastic. And I actually did want you to talk about that as far as balancing the hemispheres in your brain. Why is it so important with even the male and female? Can you explain that a little bit? Because I know you know.
yes, sure. Imagine that every time that people say that women come from one planet and men come from another planet, it's somehow due to the frequency that each one of the brain hemispheres take. So it's now, let's take it into a deeper level in the dialogue that we daily have with ourselves. When one part of yourself agrees to something and the other one doesn't, or the one comes from a space of love and the other one comes from a space of fear. And because one, actually, there is a part in our brain that is asymmetrical, you know, and it was a very precise body that was placed to change the frequency in between our two hemispheres. And actually, that small part in our brain is taking most of the control in our nervous system. So let's say that that portion in our brain, that element, is in our left brain, which corresponds to our masculine energy. And that was placed when all the religious part and the story of the Genesis began to go through patriarchy. Because if you talk about Lemuria and so forth, I call it now like the tree arc, because it's not about matriarchy or patriarchy. It's about the completion of both together, generating an alter reality, like from both of them together. So, and then the fact of removing that in our brain, well, it's a more complex form, because it's not only removing it. The thing is that also this reality was created to generate a lot of rejection to many things. And the moment that we reject, we are limiting ourselves from that energy, from that information, that this is what is happening. You know, you see the war, you reject it. It's different setting a choice that actually, you know, like rejecting it. Because the moment that you reject it, that force is going to come as a wave and crush you down, you know. So that's a very subtle yet remarkable difference in between. And for instance, so this part, this element in the brain, is meant to be portioned, you know, as a cell. It replicates. The thing is that it was compressed, you know, like compressed. And the moment that it is compressed, it starts to generate a slight
Electricity.
dissonance,
Piezoelectric, yep.
electricity, and then, and we could also relate it to the input to this reality, but where is the output? So then we need to replicate it, but torsion it as we torsion our 9 toruses in order to ignite our plasma body. And then once we torsion them, our brain will start to do a very interesting motion, like a double butterfly, like ups, like looking above, looking below, and generating this double torus that
Right.
will create this singularity in the inside, and
Almost like
then
the
this
atomic
will form
spin.
energy.
Right.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly. And then the 9 toruses duplicate in the connection, in the wormhole in between our brain hemispheres through the interthalamic adhesion. In that moment, the symmetry, the megantropy is sustainable, you know. So yeah.
See, I watched your presentation in Florida, so I was like, "Oh, why don't you go ahead and talk about the brain and how we get it done?" So no, I watched your presentation. You could crush that. So you know, the left and right hemispheres, for all my dudes out there, to kind of simple. When you can sync your left and right hemispheres, think about. Close your eyes, imagine a brain. This is how I do it. I love your description. Just imagine a blue electricity that fires from the front to the back of your brain. What you want to do is start firing across the bridge. So that big seam, how I do it is, I imagine I fire my right side, I fire my left side, and then I try to breach and close the gap, almost like I'm stretching across. When you close that gap, or when you're closing the gap between your brain hemispheres, no, it does some supernatural stuff inside your life. Like it's actually like connecting two supercomputers. Because sometimes I feel like you know, our conscious and our subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is clocking everything and paying attention to a lot of things that maybe your conscious mind isn't. When you're able to actually bridge hemispheres, bridge your conscious and subconscious mind, it opens another level of awareness and just raw intelligence. just raw intelligence starts firing through because you're operating at a much faster bandwidth. Almost how your higher selves are viewing through you. You know, you're conscious. Okay, dirt. I'm seeing about 4% of this shit, maybe 10. Your higher selves operating through your subconscious mind are rocking 90% of everything. Every smell, every taste, every car that drives by, every license plate. Got it. You're operating on a much faster oscillation when you're oscillating in that subconscious. So think about when you can actually master that and perceive at that speed and at that level, a lot of things change. So with that, ladies and gents, was there anything else you'd like to say? I'm cooked. I don't know. I mean, we're crushing. I mean, let's talk about it. What?
There was a lot going on. So I'm quite sure that people that were watching this or that will be watching this will also receive from these frequencies directly. And just very important, like this part of what I was mentioning about the brain. This is some of also the messages that I'm here to convey, the functioning, our brain functioning, because then you're capable to, at a very much higher level of awareness, to come to project yourself to hyperspace and to this reality, from hyperspace to this reality. So, and thank you for sharing how you do it. It is.
Listen, I like yours with the 9 Tauruses. I like torque in power. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but bam! Like, I mean, it's all about, you have to unlock all the seals.
Yeah.
Okay, they call these seals, the 7 seals to lock up a human. It's your chakras, dude. So a lot of people get their root chakra unlocked and then their sacral chakra unlocked, and they just stay right there. They stay in that sacral place. There's a lot of dudes that get trapped in the sacral. Okay. Yes. But as you eventually, access your power plant, that solar plexus, then eventually your heart, then your throat chakra, then your third eye, your crown. And I'm working on the 2 other frequencies of the 8th and 9th chakra as well. Yeah.
Nice. Me too.
Oh, yeah. Well, just so you know, in ninjutsu, they teach 8 chakras. They don't teach 7. In ninjutsu, the guys that are running sideways on walls, they teach 8 chakras for a reason, because there's supernatural things you can do when you start unlocking the higher chakras. So, and a lot of the tools I make are here to assist in obviously raising your frequency. You put them under your bed when you're sleeping, help you process things faster, get all that old programming out, or to help you, allow your body to heal faster. And there's all new prototypes and new alchemy we're crushing right now. And so we've been working around the clock to facilitate all your guys' orders and make all the new prototypes. And that's at teamlightstore.com. And I know that you also have some awesome stuff you want to share with all my audience. Share.
Yeah, sure. I'm designing jewelry along with my partner, and all this involves specific codes that once you activate them, then they are bringing all that frequency to your electromagnetic field and to your geometrical body. You can make them very powerful. Well, that's on the matter aspect. I'm also giving online courses on plasma body activation. This is you can activate it however you want. The thing is that please activate it, and if you resonate like at some point with ancient teachings and how to fully ignite your ka and your aten and so forth, your plasma sphere, spherical body, then you can tune into the stars, tune into all that information and wisdom of the stars, bringing your galactic tribe closer to you, consciously activated within your DNA, upgrade your DNA, which is that also another online course.
How can they find your website? I can type it in my comments for my people. So your courses, how can they find you?
Yeah, sure. It is, well, I can also write it. It's innovation that
So for all the guys in my comments while she's typing, space, we're going Navy SEALs, ninjas, then it's like space SEALs. I'm like, we're like space sea lions, I'm like, hey, I'm not from here. I don't really respect your power, your power structure down here. No, I'm just kidding. A Bush senior and junior, and I don't know, Tommy boy, whatever you got going on over there. Oh yeah, she put it in the comments. Listen, we make jokes here. Sorry.
Yeah, listen, I love it.
We're making jokes over here because I'm just like, I don't know. I seen you in the astral, you know, following me around like a kid who lost his teddy bear, asking for help. You know, you're a world leader. I didn't get that last night. So I mean, for all these guys watching behind the scenes, just know that our elders and who we are simply here to assist in balancing this timeline, to make it more manageable for all the civilians to wake up and have a gracious and graceful timeline as we all work towards a better future together. That is it. Anything that doesn't come into resonance that's trying to do weird stuff, we're going to ask you to move out of the way now. You've had enough time. So that's all I'd like to say from our council, one council to yours. And like I said, is there anything else you'd like to say? It's been awesome having you on at the show. And I'm on your show, you're on my show. It was awesome, you know?
Yes, it was. I just want to thank you for everything that you are doing. I thank you for your passion. And may all the beings that watch this show continue to occupy their places, because we won't achieve it if we are not in unity. And the unity begins within, and then it translates without. So thank you for this unity.
Yeah.
Looking forward to our next encounter.
All right. Until next time. And you guys, there's a big conference coming up in March. And yes, she will be one of the speakers. So just wait. We're working on all the background stuff right now. Until next time. Love you guys.
Love you.
Okay.